John Cusack, Adrian Brody, and Jackie Chan. It's like The Hangover all over again, but in ancient China, as these guys learn to build a wall, do some courtesy killings, and make the world's first Transformer. We saw Dragon Blade, so you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just be a hater. Cause you know you wonder, how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? I am Paul Scheer, your host, joined, as always, by my co-host, Jason Mantzoukas. How are you, Jason?
Paul, I did not care for this movie. I just spent my morning watching it.
It's a tough one
We
to
were
get
made
through.
to watch this movie by our guests today,
Yes.
which is challenging my fondness for them.
Well, you'll be happy to know, Jason, this is the first movie that we've done, first Chinese language film that we've ever done on the show. So that's pretty big. Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment.
That's pretty big. Starring John Cusack and Adrian Brody.
Oh man, I don't even want to.
So many.
Yeah, so much.
So much to talk about in what is,
yes,
I mean, unquestionably one of the foremost features of the last few years that depict the Dragon Blade, the famed Dragon Blade.
Is there a Dragon Blade in this movie?
Is there a Dragon Blade, Paul?
I don't
think
think
there is. That is my question as well. Is there a Dragon Blade?
We are going
Here
to get
are
into
words
it.
that are never said in this movie. Dragon Blade. They're not spoken separately. They're not spoken together.
Never heard the term Dragon Blade. I thought there was going to be a special sword. There is
I
not.
thought so too. There is even a special sword given at one point, and I was like, here we go, Dragon Blade.
Nope, not a Dragon
Nobody
Blade.
says it. Nobody says, here's the Dragon Blade. I'm giving you the Dragon Blade.
Nope.
Congrats, you've earned the Dragon Blade.
Or is there a magical Dragon Blade?
Nope.
No. Not even a ceremonial Dragon Blade.
No, I hated this.
All right, well, let's bring in our guests, the people responsible for this movie, and but
Not
also
responsible for making it. Responsible for making us watch it.
Well, hold on.
Wait a minute.
We will see.
Did our guests finance this
Yes.
movie? Is our guest today the nation of China?
Yes. They are Chinese nationalists who are here with an agenda of
This is
entertainment.
wild.
Entertainment for all. All right, so we have two guests
Are we
today.
a mouthpiece for China?
Jason, all I want to tell you is that
Is this show now underwritten by Foxconn?
You know, it's ad-free still, but we do have to say about 12 positive things about China, the government of China, and the history of China every episode.
Well, this is very awkward.
Yes, it's not awkward at all. They pay great money. The Han brothers are here.
The Han brothers?
Yeah, the Han brothers. I love their logo before the thing starts.
Yeah.
All right, we have two guests today. You know our first guest as one of the stars of Good Girls Revolt and the AMC show Dietland. She was also in a movie with me that came out on DVD last week called Summer '03. Please welcome Erin Darke. How are you,
Hey
Erin?
guys, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Erin, I wrote this down when we were doing that movie together, and Avril Halley, the person who helps us pick all of our films, she's like, I remember. And
Yeah.
so it's her memory that can also be faulted for this.
No, but I remember at the time I said, if we ever get to do the show, I claim Dragon Blade. And then I've spent
I like
the
that
last
you tried
year.
to squat on it as if tons of people were like, we gotta do Dragon Blade.
The 2015 Mandarin film.
Brad Pitt was like, I want to come on and do Dragon Blade, guys. And we were like,
But I was
sorry,
like,
bro.
I claimed it. I'm sorry, guys. I claimed it. But I have spent the last year going like, oh, fuck. What if it's a really good movie and I've forgotten that it was a quality film?
Had you not forgotten the top 3 people on the call sheet?
I mean... But, I started to doubt it. I was like,
It
I
could
do
have been
remember
great.
Adrian Brody was giving a lot.
He is. He is giving.
Boy, does he ever.
He is acting, and I like it.
Capital A acting.
And a lot of whisper acting. But you are not fully guilty in this because it was a joint decision. Our next guest is someone that you might have seen on stage or in film, and more recently, his brand new TV show Miracle Workers just premiered this week, and it airs every Tuesday at 10:30. Please welcome Daniel Radcliffe.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Fuck
I am
you.
not sorry. I still think
How dare you, you turd.
it's good. I am, I was also worried, like Erin, that I would have misremembered this film. I did not think maybe it's good. My thought was that it wouldn't have been as entertainingly crazily bad in the ways that I love a movie to be.
Well,
no, it
than it was. And it was.
I mean,
It
5
really
minutes
is.
in, because this was our second time watching it. I feel like I should state that for the
Yeah.
record. We had watched it
And
before.
did you watch the 2 hour and 12-minute version or the hour and 40?
No, we watched the American
hour
release.
and-
Wait
the
a
Chinese
minute.
version is
Yeah.
20
What?
minutes
Yes.
longer.
Yeah.
I may have watched. I think I watched a longer version.
think
Well,
it just
did you
felt
watch
like-
the bookends with the 2 Chinese scientists?
What?
What?
Oh, I have
What
it.
are you talking
Oh,
about?
wait. I have it.
There are 2 Chinese scientists?
Yeah, that,
So we
Wait.
flash forward?
yes. So the movie starts in now.
Is there a Dragon Blade in what you saw?
No Dragon Blade. But
They cut out. I don't know.
A lot of
you know they say
satellite
you got to kill your
technology.
babies. We gotta cut this Dragon
Not
Blade
even
out.
occurred to me. That
Whoa!
Woo.
it makes no sense because
Wait, I was surprised by the screen. Why are you surprised by the screen?
never
you
seen
do
it.
this
Yeah,
we
all
never
the time.
we don't
never
use the
used
screen.
this.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
This is brand new.
Yeah, this is
Very exciting. There's a screen in the studio now, so we can watch clips. Huge development.
Yeah, this is a big
Here
deal.
at Earwolf Studios, you guys
Okay.
are very lucky to be here for this.
So basically, I will just do a little.
I don't believe in rewarding you for making us watch this movie. We should have come here and watched it all together.
Oh yeah, the
I would have been so happy to do that.
Just instead of me standing in
No.
my kitchen fuming. Well,
It's not a morning movie.
No,
It's not,
no.
I will say, I feel like
I
it's
have an
better.
update, Daniel. It's not an evening movie either.
You do need
I
to
would
take a
question
break.
whether this is a movie.
Like, how long after waking up did you start
In me,
watching
I
this?
started it in bed. I started playing. It went through my whole morning with me.
I'm a little
And not
sorry.
to call you out, Jason, but
Yes.
you are a guy that, if given your druthers, you start your day a little bit later. So this is.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I
Started it first thing this morning when I got up at 10 o'clock.
but like, so adding to that, you had to get up a little bit earlier than you normally would like. You then were forced to watch this movie,
Holy
which
cow.
I believe needs an intermission because there was a certain point where my brain was like, and enough. It was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I took a 15-minute break and I was able to enjoy the last
Wait,
30
so
minutes.
with an additional 20 minutes, you still didn't know what was happening?
Oh, I didn't watch that version.
Oh, okay.
I have just
You
seen
just
this
have the
version.
clip.
Because I
have
did
the
wonder,
clips.
because there's a point in this film where it goes so deeply off the rails that I was like, I do not
Do you
know
mean
what's
when
happening.
it fades in?
Yeah.
Fade in.
Well,
movie
yes.
goes off rails.
Yes.
But that's one. So the film starts with 2 random shots.
Yes.
One of Jackie Chan, which it then
Yes.
transpires at the end is from the end of the movie.
Correct.
That is then placed next to a shot of John Cusack from just another point in the
From
movie.
like 20
is
minutes
later
in.
on.
Which is later on. And then it just, there are so many random like jumps in time on
There's
or
a
across
lot of jump
time.
cuts.
And a lot of
They-
that weird slow-mo. It's like, why are we doing slow-mo?
First
I
shot
feel
of
like
John
they
Cusack
just
on a
gave
horse.
people footage and said, I don't know, make a movie out of it if you can.
Did you guys-
see what you can do with this?
But
Did you
and yet
think-
there is so much
Oh,
money
yeah.
clearly has gone into it.
It is the biggest film that has ever been made by Chinese money like, in
No.
China. Yes, $65 million. So not on American money level, but on
no,
yeah.
that's a huge
But
budget.
I think
Yeah.
with the amount that they pay extras, that's probably
Right.
quite
And
a
also,
return
and
to
it
those
sounds like it
dollars.
was very unpleasant to shoot.
No,
Did
I
they
mean
actually build that city? Now
mean-
I'm believing they maybe built a city.
they built those walls. They built those special cranes. They did everything. That was all
I
practical.
heard that the Chinese film industry is just an excuse to build infrastructure, and that's all they're doing
All
is just
of the movies
building.
are about
It's
finishing
so
cities.
beautiful.
We gotta finish these things. Let's shoot a movie about it.
And then tourism comes in because you have to visit the sites from the film.
Yep.
But I will just to talk about that opening because
By the way, I would totally go on a group trip that goes to the sites of this film.
Skates, yeah.
Well, you meet, Jackie Chan and John Cusack, and I think in the beginning, oh, this is what the movie will start here. Like, they've made peace, and we're moving forward.
No.
And then you're like, oh, no, not at all.
No.
It's something...
What's this movie about?
That was the flash forward.
Yeah, I mean, then you
And
get
then we
into
flash
like
back.
a fight scene that seems to be brought about by like there seems to be a lot about trade and taxes
Yes.
early on and custom.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, the Silk Road is, listen, a lot of shit goes down on the Silk
Right.
Road.
People are
What is a Silk Road
rhapsodizing
fighter? That's my
about
question.
Yeah.
The Silk Road protection
Yeah,
squad.
Silk Road Protection Squad, which I'm
Which
sure was the official
are-
title.
The word
They're terrible,
squad.
right?
I
They
can't
lose
imagine.
every fight. The Silk Road squad loses every fight.
So, and that's what was my other question at the beginning. So so there's this huge face-off between these two warring nations, and then Jackie Chan comes in, and he fights as with the Silk Road Protection Squad, and he fights the
as a third.
Lady Moon.
He comes in as a third
he comes
to
in
intervene.
as like an
Because
intermediary.
he's a fighter for peace.
Yes,
Well,
he says
everybody-
several
Yes.
times.
Everyone who
He
is a
has
Silk
many
Road,
weapons.
every Silk Road fighter fights for peace because they believe that it's better to make friends than foes.
Yes.
But yet they are like
Heavily-
so many
heavily
weapons.
armed. Yes.
Heavily
So
armed.
many
They have so many
weapons.
weapons.
and
They fight
deeply
all the
trained
time.
at using them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there are at least 2 moments in the film where I think Jackie Chan says, "Stop fighting and don't fight," as he is fighting.
Yes.
Yes.
They go through such lengths to show that he is such a nice guy.
Amazing guy. An amazing
What
thing.
a great
By
dude.
the way, I will say, and I have it in my notes,
And a wonderful singer.
like
I should have done it on my phone.
the movie. get in the business,
I wrote-
buddy. You got to make
Daniel
those
left
notes
his
on your
notes in
phone.
his
I
hotel.
wrote notes and they're not
He
here.
had so many notes.
There is like the movie starts and it's this fight scene and I was like, oh no, this is terrible. This is gonna be awful. Jackie Chan showed up and I was like, oh right, Jackie Chan is awesome.
Yeah.
There is something that is so compelling and so instantaneously fun and funny, and even though it's a serious moment or whatever, he still finds moment of levity and there's stuff in the Jackie Chan stuff that I always enjoy.
But do you think
maybe
that-
it's nostalgia?
But didn't the levity kind of undercut the seriousness of what
No,
we're doing?
yes, people are dying. Lives are at stake.
Yeah.
But then we go into these like comedy of errors
Yes.
moments.
Like when he just grabs her boobs
yeah,
in one of the
which
first
goes
fights.
on for so long. It's like he grabs her boobs, they both notice, they both look down,
slaps
they
him.
both
Yes.
look up, she slaps him, and then he's
Yeah.
like, maybe I should stop grabbing her
Yeah.
boobs.
And then he takes off her veil, and this is maybe where I don't know that much
Yeah.
about Chinese culture, but now they have to have sex?
Hey,
No,
they
well,
don't.
yes. She
Okay.
just then strips in front of him.
Right.
In
But
the
when
next
does
scene,
that
they
take
got
place?
the
In a
spit take in
flashback?
the fire.
When does that take
I
place?
forgot about that spit take.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
after the fight scene,
So
right?
where do they go after the fight?
And
Where
then
do
they
they
like,
go?
back to her tent.
Why? So he
apparently
can
no,
return
he
the
goes,
veil?
Yeah, he goes back to her tent to return the veil, and then she strips for him like you
Now,
do, Jason.
let me ask you
But
this,
she
Erin.
takes a
Do
drink
you
like-
think- do you think that her house, where he returns the veil, is 2 miles from the
Apparently.
open desert?
No,
Or
'cause
did
he's
they
such
ride for a week
Yeah, he's
for him
such
to
a nice
return the
guy.
veil?
He's a very nice guy. He wanted to return the veil. He went there.
He's
she
like,
responded.
you left these earrings at my house.
And it
Yes.
is again, we see that veil scene in a flashback as he is riding away.
Right.
Like he's riding
Yeah.
away from, I think, the initial, though,
Yeah,
I
and
guess
his-
from that.
and
The
his
language of
buddy's
film-
like giving him shit.
Also,
But the
what-
language of film here is very bad because we see a scene, the next logical scene is the stripping scene, and then it's the horseback scene. But what we see is fight scene, horseback scene, stripping scene, horseback scene.
Yes.
It's like, why? Why did
And
we tell
also-
this in out of order?
I have a big question about, like, so Jackie Chan intervenes in that initial fight, fights that lady, and then
Somehow
what,
the conflict's resolved.
like, is that it? Like, what happened to the
I
initial
guess-
dispute?
Yeah.
If she gets her veil ripped off, then
everyone go home.
Yeah, it's almost like flag football.
If he
you get the
wins-
flag,
if he wins a
you're
fight-
done. You tackled that person.
If he wins a fight,
But
does
the
that just
other
it?
side-
He's like,
I don't
okay,
know.
peace reigns, I win.
but the other side that was trying to fight her got
also
nothing.
left.
No.
They didn't even participate in the fight, but they were apparently like,
Silk Road
I'm
politics.
confused.
conflict resolved.
It's
I'm confused about like the idea of Chinese warfare because it seemed like and I want to get
No,
into it.
you build an
two-
army,
yeah.
and then you send one
One at a time.
person.
One.
I mean, there is like, I think, a theory.
It's like Pokemon fighting.
Yeah.
And then,
But I think there is a theory that people, like massive armies, used to just like meet opposite each other and then kind of like send out their strongest guys kind of one
Okay.
at a time.
But
I
it's
don't
not
think it was
really-
quite that orderly.
Okay,
Would
yeah, it was
conflict be
very, like,
resolved
yeah.
then?
The
Like
thing
that's
that-
the thing. If you send your 2 strongest and one of them beats the other one, does your army just go like, they beat
Yeah,
that guy,
yeah.
so I guess we go home
Okay,
now?
we're out of here. I thought that as well. I assumed,
More-
and mistakenly, now that I've heard that it's a $65 million budget, I was like, well, they don't have the budget for big, giant group battles.
no, they do.
So that's why they're like breaking it down into these smaller one-on-one combat missions that I was like, later on, that happens in almost every single fight scene. It comes down to just mano-a-mano fight.
But
Yes.
if it was better fighting, I'd be all in. If it was like Crouching
yeah.
Tiger, if it was, even like raid level fighting, it's kind of neither here nor there. It's like, it's fighting. It's not as cool as 300. It's just sort of like, it's a melee of
I
sorts.
thought there were like a
it's
couple
clumsy.
of really good moments, and there were like some like moments where you'd see like, there's a really cool idea that like I feel like they didn't want the film to be quite as dark as there's one moment where literally there's a guy who's been shot through with like 20 arrows bent over backwards, entirly propped up by those arrows, but they just like are panning off him from the word go.
I thought that was cool looking. There's
cool.
like I believe you're right. I think they tried to veer away from true violence, true gore, anything that was like anything
there's
and
no
that's like the
blood
lightness
besides, I mean, spoiler alert, John Cusack's eyeballs being ripped out. But
you mean his closed eyes with some fake blood on them?
That scene either took 10 minutes to shoot or 2 days.
Everything that John Cusack is in this movie felt like, you know, they do this thing where like, you know, we're just gonna shoot the rehearsal just so you can run it through, and that's what it felt like. It was like, I'll give you like 2 takes at the most, and it wasn't like he's not trying. It's just sort of like not trying a lot.
His death scene is astonishing.
I love his
so
performance
good.
in this film.
Take me home.
So much. Take me home. But
he didn't even tell him. He's like, when he says "take me home," how does he even know? He's totally
blind. He doesn't know what's
blind.
going on. Yeah, there are so many instances. The kid too is reacting to a fight scene consistently as if he's watching it. Only that child is blind. And he's like, "Oh no!"
Speaking
also very much
not his part of it.
I think.
Wait, what?
Dunkirk's least part of it. Did you not notice?
No.
Lips do not match words.
Yeah, he's fully ADR.
There was
fully ADR.
But also so was like the nanny stroke aide de camp whose performance is another crazy part.
That character's name is Falco.
Is it?
I could talk about that performance for about 2 hours.
Falco does color commentary for some of the fights. Ooh, yeah, get in there.
General Lucius is fighting with the force of 1,000 men. He's like narrating the fight scenes for the blind child as if it's like a bedtime story. His performance is like Commedia dell'arte thinks. It makes Commedia dell'arte look like naturalistic acting.
Like subtle. Yeah.
He also looks nothing like a Roman. They do a real weird job. John Cusack, just so if you've not seen the movie and you shouldn't, is a Roman who is doing.
We haven't explained this movie even remotely.
Yeah,
Can you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard.
There was a crawl at the beginning, or not a crawl, but there was like text at the beginning to give you some context and information. I went back to it at a certain point to be like, what was this even about?
Well, by the way, that text is written so tiny and in the screen that my TV is not that far away from me. I was having a hard time going like, what is on this screen? If it was closer, I get it. But this is where the opening
50
comes
BC.
in. Well, the opening, it's actually 48, but in the American translation, they made it 50.
Really?
Just rounded it up.
Classic.
Make it easy.
Classic American move.
So the opening, I can play a little bit of it, but it focuses on
the scientists?
These are the 2 scientists. This kind of sets the tone of the movie way better. Like if this scene was in there, I would have really liked it. So here we go. Oh no, that's a bold statement. I wouldn't have really liked it. All right.
Is that all it would have taken?
Just this. Okay.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is so total. Different.
Yeah. So we open up.
This is amazing.
We open up on all these like Audis flying through like
that's a BMW.
BMW. Sorry. All right,
I'm just saying. You know, they paid for these cars.
Yes. So we open up on the BMWs.
James says he'll float a stock offering on the market the minute we find Regan. Then we can excavate wherever we want. You know, most of the diary documents of how General established the protection squad.
Oh, I see.
How is he related to Regan? And why did they name this ancient city Regan?
Oh, whoa.
Find out.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Hey, Jim, another intersection ahead. Which road do we take? Let's split into 3 groups. Keep each other updated.
So,
sharp, gentlemen.
This group splits up into 3 groups. They go on a big hike.
Oh my God, this keeps going.
Yeah, they find this lost city.
So crazy.
They go into the lost city. They find
they got gypped in the American version.
I know. So and they're, by the way, speaking in English.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's
And also-
odd.
Yeah, so why was that
Yeah.
cut from
But
the English version?
what I'm confused
No idea.
about
And
is
by the
that-
way, it does add some, like this idea of Regum, which is like the whole city that they're building, the heaven on
I
earth.
was just gonna say, is that the city that they built?
Yes.
Do they ever call it Regum in the movie?
The very
At the
end.
very end.
Okay.
They say like
I think at the very end, it's like
Oh, it might
text
be
on
more
the
text,
screen.
actually,
Okay.
Yeah, tiny
So
text.
They
I thought- yeah, go ahead.
They find Regum. They're like, what is it? Oh my God. And then the craziest thing happens. They scan the entire thing with satellites, play Mozart music, and then the satellite from outer space you'll see, I'm just playing it out, beams lights and rebuilds the entire city through like virtual reality.
What?
Whoa, this is...
So then they're like, oh, this is it. And then
how does that technology work?
I have no idea. So basically,
is that a flash forward to the future from now?
Yeah.
This is further on
This
than
is 2073.
Yeah, right.
So now they have this city in front of them. Boom, we're back into the movie. And at the end, what we are led to believe, at the beginning of the movie, they're staring at a statue. At the end, they just go like, oh, now that's the story. But no one's told them the story. They just see the world through virtual reality
do you
and
pull
like,
back
let's
and
never tell anybody.
Do you pull back and they've been showing them the movie? Whoa!
You gotta,
It's a very impressive satellite. It actually didn't just show them the city, it showed them this whole movie.
And they're like, this is a bad movie.
That is what a satellite does. A satellite could show them a movie.
Yeah,
right.
What it can't do is rebuild past structures.
And so this is how it ends. And this is
Wow.
this is the end of the movie where okay, so we join back with our characters.
Oh yes, we have this 360 pan of
The eagle. No, this we didn't get this.
Oh, yeah, so they go-
that was kind of nice.
So they see the whole city, how it's been destroyed, and now
I'm really happy we can do this together. She says, are they a couple now?
yeah.
I'm really happy we can do this together.
Well, at least we ended on a good note.
What does that mean?
Wait, are they
Why
breaking
have
up?
they ended?
Ended
Yeah.
what?
Are they
Aren't you in the
dying?
middle of your job?
Look,
Care.
look at go.
Did you guys find anything?
No, we haven't found anything.
What?
either.
No, I mean, there's literally a pillar behind you. I know you have
You
a
have
whole
like
3D mapping
a
thing.
major archaeological site on your
Well,
hand.
they're
Why would
saying
they not want to tell people?
they're like, we're keeping it our secret, and this is their reason. Let's see. She goes, no, we haven't found it. And then
It's an enthralling fairy tale.
What is? You don't know
Peace and
anything.
harmony 1, greed and ambition 0. This land remains ours alone.
Well, what do you say? We let him shine for another 2,000 years.
Like a week later, somebody else finds this city. And they're like, fuck.
We could
and then they just go and frolic in the snow.
That's amazing. It's amazing that embrace is meant to make us like it's meant to mean something to us after not being with
basically,
those people.
they basically say we cannot, because this true story, which by the way, that's the one thing we haven't talked about at all. It's based on a true story. They basically go, it is a true story, but it's not, like, because that's their getaway from it. It's like it didn't really happen, but it did. They're just not letting people. They're not letting people go there to look at this a city that represents heaven on earth.
They seem to selfishly imply they want to keep it for themselves. Which is a
Like,
real dick move.
and the
But
point of the
it's just
story-
an old structure. There's no like. It isn't like, oh, we have to leave these people in this culture the way.
But also,
we
what
found
it stands for is something that is truly a great message. What it stands for is wonderful and should be shared with the world.
Yeah, no.
This
They're like,
It's
this
just
place
for
that
them.
symbolizes harmony and peace. Let's hide it for us. Let's keep it for ourselves. It's ours. It's our city.
so there's the city that they're talking about, Regum, which is, I guess, Regum. That's where I do all my office space work at Regum. You rent those corporate offices.
That's what I consider gum that I get off the bottom of the table here.
Ooh, yeah, it's
Regum.
Regum. Okay, so we established that the Silk Protection Squad, not great
I
fighters.
still don't think we've explained this. The plot
No,
of
we have
like
still-
John
we're still at the
Cusack's
beginning.
character
Yeah.
is a Roman, and we haven't broached it barely at all.
Yes.
Yeah. So
He's
like
a Roman with a good Chicago accent.
Yeah, I mean, the accent work is just so great in that it is non-existent for him.
I mean,
and like,
he's just doing any modern day John Cusack performance.
Yeah.
He might as well be someone saying, "Hey, Lloyd Dobler, put on
Yes.
this armor.
Well,
You're a
he,
Roman now."
He was like Lloyd Diver because he's doing
Yes.
like kickboxing stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
I don't know, because I looked at like I went in quite deep on like I was looking at like some press stuff that he did for
He
the
watched
movie
a
last
bunch of
night.
interviews.
I watched some interviews with him, and he says all like he seems really like into the idea of doing a martial arts movie, and was saying like all the reasons you would do a movie like this for, like to work with Jackie Chan and to like get to do this cool stuff, like. but then like I don't feel like he did that.
No, I feel like he was there for 2 weeks.
Like
at
Adrian
the
Brody,
max.
I feel like is in that last fight scene. It's like, yeah, you did some fighting. Like,
I believe John Cusack, showed up the day before and like was like, okay, what's up? And I believe Adrian Brody lived in China for 2 years.
But that's
no.
why,
Adrian Brody is
in armor.
No, Adrian Brody is doing something. But let me ask you this, Erin and Daniel, like when you watch a movie like this and you're looking at people that are, some people are just not making a choice on accents. Have you ever worked in a situation where you've been like, we're all doing this. This person isn't?
Yeah, I don't know that I have, but I've definitely like been aware of them on other movies.
Yeah.
Like there was there was some famous. I haven't
we've done a million. We've done a million movies where accents are not adding up. I mean, like Gods of Egypt.
But
I
at
feel
least
like
people are
I like to believe,
maybe.
But that's
but that's the thing. I like to believe. Dan and I were talking about this. I like to believe that because Adrian Brody sort of doesn't come into the end. I like to believe that John Cusack got there and was like, well, there's some British guys, but nobody else really seems to be doing an accent. And so he just did his whole performance, and then Adrian Brody got there and just started doing what he was doing, and Cusack was like, it's too late now.
What are you doing?
I mean,
I'm not gonna loop my whole performance.
But it's also like a bold choice to be like,
I'm just going to be American.
I'm just going to be American. And not even, and it's almost like Chicago. It's like, it's not even like a subtle, it's like, it's just John Cusack. It is just
and that's
typical.
The thing. And in a way, there's no logic. Like, you might as well be as, like, English as be American. Like, there isn't any, I mean, you're not going to sound Latin. You know, there's not a Roman accent that anyone's doing
but
these
the
days.
guy,
But
his number two even has at least it's like a British accent. Like, it just sounds like American, or sorry, like that American accent just sounds so.
But that's why it's so good. That's why him pulling up on a horse in armor and just being like
so casual.
Well, how does he introduce himself? He's like Black Eagle Corps, Roman Empire.
And I was like, what? There's no way. And when at the end of the movie, when he says, "Send me home to Wrigley Field," I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
When the arrow goes through his throat, he goes, "Go Cubs!"
You don't have the moment of him and because I think
Dan
my
has
favorite
scene in this movie,
which I lost my mind the first time I watched it, and the second time just as much, is the scene where him and Jackie Chan are first. It's after their first fight, and
when he's in his thinking spot.
This is my favorite scene. Okay,
when he needs a place to think.
Yeah,
when he's found his place to think.
I need food and water for my men, medicine for a child. And a place to think.
Here, this is it. I think you got it right here.
We need food and water for my men. Medicine for a child. And I need a place to think.
This is 48 BC.
Yep. 48 BC. And then that scene to me is even more kind of trumped by the scene after Jackie and or after like the fight and they get into town. They're both on the rooftop.
No, this is Dan's scene. This is the scene that
just purely
we
for
watched
the
it twice last night.
For the whole thing.
I'm
like,
concerned about you.
The first
These are our date nights.
like the first thing when he starts off and he's just like I can't. There's one line he says very early on which makes me laugh, but the line that just I hope you have it is when he grabs Jackie Chan's sword and Jackie Chan stops him and John Cusack just does a really gentle, what? I just want to look at it. I've never seen a Chinese sword. and I am not doing any justice to how he does that line, but it is.
There's something so blasé about the delivery of that line.
There's something so blasé about so many of his lines.
But they also do a thing in that scene where, in the beginning of that scene, John Cusack is talking like, in my culture, we do this. And then Jackie's like, in my culture, we do this. And then all of a sudden, after 3 lines, like, so anyway, the stress and politics of my world really kind of bums me out. And then he's like, right. They just
Jackie Chan speaks every language.
Yes.
And everybody, every native Chinese speaker can at least understand every language everybody else is speaking.
Yes.
Even if they don't speak it, they can understand everything that's being said all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Maybe it's a skill you get when you work on the Silk Road.
On the Silk Road.
Squad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is the Silk Road like
squad being used?
Squad is
crazy.
There's there's a bunch of anachronisms too. At one point, my favorite thing is when Adrian Brody says, when they come to him at the end of the movie and they're like, blah, 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 whatever, you're busted, whatever. He goes, look, I just want to say. He says, look, comma, I just want to say.
I wrote down that someone says, hey.
Yeah. That too.
What? Hey.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like craziness.
There's also a bunch of lines that I just don't understand. Like, there's a bunch of lines that are said with huge significance that I don't. Like,
like Decimus has returned.
We don't know who this is.
Who's Decimus?
When all the Anchorman moment at the end when all the tribes arrive to fight and they just cut to them one after the other arrive.
And then you're like, you don't know who these people are, and then
no idea who any of them are.
And then when at the end, when that
they're the people. I believe they're all the people who, when he made the speech about like when they were like they all got bought off by Adrian Brody, and he made the speech about we have to stick up and we have to blah blah blah. They were all the people that I believe had taken the money and now felt bad.
But the Parthian queen, when she shows up too,
that's a different story.
And the Falcons, guys. We
the Falcons.
When this movie turns into Birdemic for a moment,
and they have just like telepathic control over hordes of falcons.
Yes, and the falcons are coming in, just hard at horses.
Well, we all know
a lot of horses.
Parthians can do anything with falcons.
It's true.
But they also like make the choice
is.
to do close-up shots of birds not actually hitting the eyes of horses.
Missing.
That's a very hard thing.
Down.
Which you think that's hard to do?
Yeah,
stay in the wide.
Yeah,
if you got it that close, that look great.
Yeah, or just CGI maybe just a little bit.
You
clearly
are doing a city later. Like it's fine.
Yeah, it's a horse on a bird.
Help your battle scenes. Use your CGI here.
Why, by the way, is John Cusack an amazing engineer? Like,
how are they able to do that?
That's like my favorite things about the film are that like they are constructing a history where like the Romans and the Chinese meet, and then the Roman engineering meets Chinese fucking everything that they are brilliant at.
It's a really nice montage.
Combined,
I love that montage.
It's a really nice friendship montage.
That could be the movie. The movie could be about two enemies who come together to build a city to protect it from. That's a movie, right?
Yeah.
What this is a whole bunch of there are so many components and so many players and so much chaos in this movie that is fully unnecessary.
It feels to me like someone who watched like the last aired episode of Game of Thrones trying to describe it to you. It's like, there's a boy, and he's got a thing, and then there's other, and then there's a castle, and then there's another group. It's
and
like
there's a dragon, and there's a cursed sword. Wait a minute, neither of those are in this.
But it just feels like a mishmash.
City building was the only thing that I actually remembered from the film. I remembered the city building, and so we were watching it last night, and then the city got built, and then they were having their musical numbers, and then I looked, and we were only 37 minutes into the film.
That's what I thought too, because I was like, oh wow, they did it. Wait, is this the end of the movie?
Yeah, like what?
What kind of thing was that? It's like, you have 15 days to rebuild the city. And then they did it? And even what they did in 15 days is insane.
The tools they use,
kept stopping for karate demonstrations
and musical numbers,
one-on-one fights,
and musical
numbers, and crafts time. They did a flag arts and crafts day.
I couldn't figure out, and this plagued me for a good portion of the movie. It didn't occur to me until the end of the movie they were building a city. I thought this was a prison. When Jackie Chan and the protection squad are sent to the Wild Goose,
it is a prison camp.
Yes.
It is. But it took me a while to realize, this isn't, because I was like, why are they having to build their own prison? Is that what this is?
Wouldn't you just not?
Yeah.
But then, but also when Jackie Chan goes there as a prisoner, he's like, all right, so I'm in charge. I'll go out here. I'll talk to John Cusack. I'll do this. It's like,
follow me. Let's do this. I couldn't figure out what his role was either. Yeah. And then later he just gets on a horse. He rides to his old house.
Yeah.
Where shit was going down.
Why is he doing this? Why is he going home? Isn't he supposed to be going and doing a bunch of other stuff? And then,
when he makes
how
the
is
slide,
he allowed?
When Jackie Chan invents the airplane slide technology you have, like, so everyone knows that, like when an airplane maybe does a water landing, you pop out a door and a big yellow thing would come out. Jackie Chan makes that and then has kids sliding down from a schoolroom and then makes it into a comedy scene.
You know what's interesting?
And that's one of those things that I loved, because like that's clearly one of those shots that for me, like the shots of people sliding down that thing were all slow-mo, because because I feel like that just didn't look good in actual
No way.
It was just a lot less impressive.
I'm sure.
And also, Jackie Chan has made himself the bottom of the slide, so kids are going feet first to Jackie Chan.
I also loved that this movie teaches us a very important lesson right in the scene following, where the little boy drops his school books.
Oh, yeah.
And because he goes back for his books in order to learn, his mother is killed.
Yes.
Or his teacher. His teacher/mother, I'm not
Who's
unclear.
Jackie's wife?
Jackie Chan's wife, I believe, is the teacher at the school, and he goes back for his books, and she gets all full of arrows.
Yeah,
she gets all the arrows.
Any other object, it had to be his books. His books.
That kid will literally never pick up a book again. Lesson learned, kid.
I have issues with that teacher because at one point when she's protecting everybody from arrows, she just takes like a little bamboo plate, like a large plate. Like, everyone put the bamboo plates in here. Like, that's not stopping an arrow. Most of these people are getting 4 to 5 arrows in their back.
No, there were so many arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that's like a fine way to watch a person die. Like everyone's we're all okay with that.
Yeah.
Also, arrows in this movie do amazing things. Like there's that one shot where like the girl's inside the house, she fires one arrow into a horde of 100 people. She hits one of them. The other 99 drop to the ground
they
as
all
well.
fall down.
Go like, whoa, she's really good with
Very
that thing.
sympathetic responses to good archery.
You can still take her, guys. There's 100 of you.
Did you see that? She got him.
I just want to go back because we talked about the teacher, Jackie Chan. So when he beats that person in the beginning, the woman in the beginning, and she reveals herself, her naked body to him, she kind of takes a slug like, let's do this. She reveals herself, then he takes a slug and does a spit take. And then he runs away. And then as they're riding and laughing, he goes, well, we've been gone for a long time. So wait, so is it like supposed to be like, well, I would have had sex with her if we hadn't been gone for long? Or is it like I'm committed to my wife? Like, what were they trying?
I think he was committed to his wife.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that's why he got out of there.
Yeah, because then he went home after that and they
He's
talked
a cool
about how
guy.
they were a great couple because they both love peace.
Okay, because I guess, right, because he's a peaceful guy.
That's what they had in common. Yes, you teach peace to different school children.
This movie would be
I
like,
fight for peace.
Yes.
We're a perfect match.
We're peace people.
It would be like the movie Taken. Every time like Liam Neeson kills somebody, like, I'm such a nice guy.
It really is. That is this character, essentially.
I'm a good person.
Stop telling us that. Just do it. But that's
Stop
what I love.
fighting.
Like
friend and foe.
Turns friends into foes, which I feel like, again, that's inscribed on something in Chinese characters at the end. And I feel like maybe that is a phrase that is just much more evocative in Chinese.
Yes.
That turns friends into foes coming up as a subtitle.
Well,
it's not okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's whole songs about it.
Oh, well, and
there's
by the way,
whole songs about it.
should we hear the Latin Latin song? It's the little boy singing the song.
God. You mean the operatic little boy?
Who is in the middle? Okay.
My favorite is when the first scene that introduces us to John Cusack and Jackie Chan, which is the scene in which Falco is narrating their fight for this little boy. Mm-hmm. The little boy then has a fit or a moment or something, and Falco brings the boy in his arms to the fight that is happening in the middle of the desert and screams, "General!"
And by the way, this
distracting John Cusack immediately.
Well, but by the way, the boy was just blind. He was not sickly, or maybe he was. I don't
know.
They were very loose about it.
They had run away. They were in a desert. I think maybe they were all fucking thirsty.
Well, because remember those other generals were falling down behind John Cusack.
Just falling.
They held it up until they were in front of another army, and then they were like, "Oh God, fall off this horse."
And by the way, what a terrible general John Cusack was like. All right, we'll take this city. Well, with these guys,
With what? Yeah. That was my problem. I was like, you got 500 guys. This is a city.
Yeah.
You've been walking for days. But that's what I mean, John Cusack is just that. Yeah, Jackie Chan is the world's best person who he arrives at Wild Geese Gate. And just immediately starts saving people's lives and helping people. Adrian Brody is the most evil human being who just drinks blood and blinds children. And John Cusack is just a guy.
He's just a guy.
And what's wild,
just a guy.
You've got this character in the movie, this sickly child who's been rescued from certain death and all this stuff, and the kid just straight up gets killed.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Adrian Brody shows up and Falco's like, see you later. I guess we're going to take a high dive off the top of the palace.
By the way, the sky plank. Like, what purpose is the sky plank?
That's very Game of Thrones.
Paul.
That's very Game of Thrones.
That's the purpose of the sky plank.
I thought the sky plank was going to come into, like, at the end when they're having that battle, like, they're going to finally fall. Like, fall into the battle.
That's where you jump. Yeah, that's where you jump off things with a child.
I did get emotional with that scene, though. I was I don't know why. I think now, whenever I see anything
like
children,
because you got kids.
Fair enough.
The rest of us without kids were like, fuck this kid.
I think there was a moment where I was like, if you have to go, like, that would be a beautiful way to go. Like,
Jesus.
That's so sweet and
Lord.
if they're pushing you off a sky bridge,
absolutely. Like, he really meant it.
Yeah,
like when he said, like, you will never hurt this child. It's like, no, I mean, you meant that.
I'm gonna hug him on the way down.
I will.
Forever.
Falco! I would love it if he screamed his own name. I'm dangerously close to letting that be the thing that takes over for Geostorm.
Oh yeah.
Someone screamed Geostorm at me on the Sony lot the other day.
Oh my God.
I was like, what the fuck's going on? Who said that?
I had actually not registered that character's name was Falco. I was also on the IMDb page for this film last night, and there is apparently a character in this film called Eugene.
Oh yeah.
Who is that? Is he in the 20 minutes I didn't see?
No, there is a couple of characters, and there's some people that are uncredited too.
Really? Just Eugene?
Eugene.
Yeah. James Lee Guy was uncredited as Eugene.
Huh.
Yep, just Eugene.
It's not a Roman name. It's not a Chinese name. It's just, how do you fit into this?
That's just like one of the director's friends who happened to be on set. Like, oh yeah, well, this is Eugene. That's Eugene.
Eugene.
The guy in jeans.
And then he went in and like changed his own IMDb. I don't know.
My favorite characters were Eugene, Sully,
Publius.
And Red Sun.
Wasn't that the kid's name? It was like
Publius.
Publius, yeah.
Well, here's a little bit of his thing, just so you can kind
If he got to be a little bit older, he'd be Publius. But he died pubeless. Come on, guys.
And this is like a crowded scene. This is like after their dance sequence. And here we go.
Yeah, we just had some very rowdy.
Oh. So long.
And he sounds like he's in a cathedral. I mean, this is not like...
They built a city with good sound quality, Paul.
The acoustics are a big part of it. He's...
And this is the anthem of Regim, I guess.
Yes. It's like an old Roman song that everyone knows and joins in on.
I mean, but it's a
people are crying.
Yeah,
Romans are weeping at the song.
And there's some very committed background in actually crying. Like there was one guy who was just like, "We don't even know who you are, and you are weeping."
That's Eugene.
That is Eugene.
And by the way, and getting back to this whole thing, like this whole thing was brought on by like Jackie Chan in the middle of their hard work days. Like, all right. Snack time's over. Let's do training. And then they do training. And then John Cusack looks at him like, I don't like you. But but you're already friends. Aren't you already working together?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that was more a look of like, okay, you're going to see what we've got now. We're going to show you some Roman stuff. I think they're kind of on a team by then, but it's
competitive
just
pals or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then the Romans do their stuff, which is a lot more drumming.
Yeah.
And then the Romans just kick the shit out of them.
Yeah.
All the time, and the silk rope.
There's a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah,
a little bit, but I mean, they lose every
Jackie Chan's
demo
guy.
fight.
Jackie Chan's guy wins the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And then there's a second guy that ends with the handshake.
Okay,
and the Roman guy who loves to fight. Like, that was a great fight.
I am Eugene.
The whole time, all I could think about was how they have 15 days to build a city.
Yes, and that they are.
I thought
slave
it was one
laborers.
wall, and then when you see the final shot, when they look around, it's like, oh, that's like multiple walls.
They couldn't have built in 15 days 2 of those devices they built in order to build this city. They are building wheels and gears. They're building.
They built a giant construction equipment.
Yes,
the size of what you would see at a modern day
and
construction.
then built a city.
Yeah.
And also spackled it.
I love
that was the other thing.
Yeah.
They spackled it. They were like, all right, here we go. We're going to blend this in with the wall.
I love that they included things like, and this has to, my belief would be that this is based on how they actually built these cities and they made that this is what part of it was. He goes, do you have gravel? is their gravel. And I was like, wait, is this now just construction talk? Are they now just talking about what materials are available to build with?
A lot of close-ups of blueprints. And John Cusack really doing...
That's another one of my favorite shots is when they just like, it's just John Cusack standing with two Romans either side of him, just going like, one of them says, everything's on schedule, and then they cut away.
Yeah.
And then later they go back to that same shot.
And John Cusack just goes, check on that. They were clearly, someone was just like, can you just like improv some building?
They were like, just say construction-y things.
What I thought about this whole movie
was... We'll intercut it with like someone sketching it with a ruler and like blueprints.
What I thought about this movie was like, there's a moment where it felt like if this is a play, the lighting person got sick and was just trying to take lighting cues when they thought it would happen because scenes fade out. Like you're like, oh, I guess that was the end of that scene. I was like, lights out. Like, oh, all right. I haven't seen a movie where like there's been so many fade outs. Like just like fade to black. And then we're in another scene now. Like, oh, okay, it was a jar. Like the film language is
and like the
very
flash forwards and flashbacks that like in the middle of all kinds of scenes, you just flash back to things that you already saw. We flash back to that kid singing that song.
Well,
there's time.
There's so many like fade outs. There's so many like there is like the.
And why would the Chinese people get so amped up about a song that? I mean, I would argue most of them don't understand, right? Because they're not speaking Latin. Yeah. So, like, what's...
Well, that's the thing is all the English-speaking people are now singing in Latin.
Yes.
Right.
Why does that
like,
make more
this
sense?
Must be, like, very confused. This is just... It just illustrates... The movie is constantly illustrating how confusing it is.
Right.
By including things that just add to it rather than make it clearer, you know?
The one thing I will take away is that the Romans made a bunch of Rube Goldberg style devices because at one point they show a dead body and it's like a magician's case, like a guy's in there, but there's a bunch of swords inside.
Yeah,
it's
Adrian
like that trick
Brody
that you would
got creative.
See. Yeah, it was sort of like, oh, that's a trick that you would see on stage. It's like, oh, and I had no swords through me. But like this one is like, yeah, we have like a thing where you put 8 swords in one person's body.
We put a guy in a box and we just stick a bunch of swords in and it kills the guy.
Magic.
It's a great trick.
You could do it way easier. Adrian Brody also catches a sword with his bare hands.
And it's fine. Says,
and it's fine.
Good throw.
Yeah.
A fucking sword.
That's why I'm like, those moments where I'm like, Adrian Brody is having fun here. Like, he came in, he's doing an accent, he's giving he's like, I'm the evil, I'm drinking blood, I'm blinding kids. Like, I'm the
I don't
most
think
evil
anyone
character.
told him to lick human blood off his hand. I think in the moment, Adrian was just like, that's what this guy would do.
And somebody ran in from like off after they called cut and was like, you should not be putting that in your mouth. Don't. We are where we are right now. That is not safe. That you should. That is real blood.
In the Gobi Desert.
Yeah.
They filmed this in the middle of the Gobi Desert, and it sounds like it
they
was
hundreds of
extras. Like everyone wearing
in
real
the Gobi
armor.
Desert.
What?
It's like,
Yes.
like it sounds.
It was heat, sandstorms, heavy costumes, and long filming hours made this movie a really difficult endeavor. I mean,
real sandstorms.
Yes, real. I mean,
which is funny because they can't really muster one in the film.
No,
they're all like, we have
hard.
to get inside because there's a sandstorm, and then when we cut back later, there's like a few grains of sand in the air.
Oh man, that was.
But like, what I like about Adrian Brody, and I think if you are going to do a movie like this, I actually think Jackie Chan comes across the best in this. Like,
absolutely.
super fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was odd in moments where he is this big fighter, but he fights in the Jackie Chan style, which is like, oh shit, what? Hell, whoa. It's like that, like kind of like cartoon, like yeah. You know, and I'm like, well, that you are a fighter, like you should at least have confidence in there. But besides that, he's great, and I do like.
How old is Jackie Chan? When was this made?
I think he was like 61 when this was made.
I mean,
this
it
came
is
out
amazing.
It is amazing to me how agile and effortless he makes what is very difficult stuff look.
I thought they were trying to age him down sometimes, and then reveal like, and that was what he looks like older. But I just think it was maybe the wig or something. He looked, I don't know, he looked younger than he looks on the poster even. Yeah. I don't know, but I
think some of the fight scenes are genuinely still like there are really cool moments in them, and you just have to go like, wow.
I love
that guy is still doing.
I love the sword that shoots out from his hand. That was
great.
I just wish they'd done less slow motion with it. That was the thing. I felt like anytime they actually found something cool, they either like put it on unnecessary slow motion or like cut away from it.
Just riding on the horse, like, John Cusack riding on a horse in slow motion.
So many people not riding horses for real.
Oh yeah.
So many people like cut the frame frame cuts when you can't see the horse's legs, you can't see nothing.
This movie probably killed more horses than that David Milch show Luck.
I do worry about, like, it's one of those things when you see films that are like made that you're like, oh man, it's like when you watch The Birds now, you're like, oh man, birds died.
Yeah,
there was some poor
and Hitchcock was like, I don't care.
I always think about this, like someone told me, like on Return of the Jedi, like a lot of the people in those Ewok costumes, they were like, oh no, our laws are a little bit more lax. It was like, just jump on that thing and fly down. It's like, I'm just an actor. It's like, you can do it. And like, it's like a lot. Like I was talking to one of the guys who.
So you're saying a lot of Ewoks died on that movie?
Not died, but the idea of just like, no, we could do it. Like our friend Owen was in a movie in India, and they literally lit a log on fire and threw it at him, and he had to. He's like, just as long as you run fast, it won't hit you. And he's like, it was the most scary thing. It's like running down a plank with a flaming log like 4 feet behind him. Like
that's great.
But it adds to some of the great shots in this film.
Absolutely. You want that real fear in those eyes. You want to know if you die in a movie set, it was for something as good as Dragon Blade.
We did an episode of The League where we were camping and there was a bear.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, this is not going to be worth it to die shooting an episode of The League because the bear is going to maul us.
It was a really good episode.
Great ep. But it immediately became clear we should not be doing this. That's a wild animal there, and the only thing between us and it is a man with a bag of Oreos. Like, who's trying to distract the bear with cookies.
Another episode of The League, we were shooting with a monkey, this ghost monkey, and the trainer was
a real monkey.
Hang on.
A real monkey.
It wasn't a species of monkey called a ghost monkey.
We called him a ghost monkey in the show.
It wasn't the ghost of a monkey.
It was not a ghost of a monkey. But
it's very hard to hire ghosts.
I mean, well, there's tricky
Hollywood,
laws.
nothing can't be done.
It's true.
The trainer was in the trunk of the car that I was driving, and the monkey was loose in the car with us. And that was like the joke of the scene, like, this monkey. And I remember him saying to me, like, if he gets crazy, just give him these Sour Patch Kids, and that will like calm him down.
They're laced with LSD.
And I was like, well, why are we giving him candy? And that's the only, like, that's between him mauling us?
Yeah.
Like, and whenever the monkey would stop the scene, would just start eating like pieces of the car. Like, and we were in there. And then you feel like this thing, like, I don't want to complain about this, but this does not feel safe. Like, you have a monkey and 3 people in seatbelts driving on an open road with a trainer in the trunk. Like, my ear will be in that monkey's mouth before that trainer is like able to maneuver his way up.
Oh, but isn't that's why we have the best job? Like, the stuff like that happens.
I will never be in a Mercedes SUV with a monkey in real life. So
exactly.
You know what? Never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never. Who knows where this is going? This wild life.
I actually talked to a guy who did a documentary on Bubbles, Michael Jackson's monkey.
My friend fit Bubbles for a jacket once.
Really?
Yeah, he's a dresser, and he came in. Michael Jackson sent Bubbles alone in a limo to get fit for a suit.
Well, this is what he was telling me. He was like, Bubbles had his own hotel room where Michael was staying, and they're like, oh, go hang out with Bubbles. And they had taken out the bed and they put the cage in the center of the room where the bed was, and that's where Bubbles hung out. And you could take him out of the cage and watch TV with him and hang out with him, but like Bubbles had his own thing going
Bubbles
on.
arrived in his own car.
They made a doll of Bubbles. I remember that as a kid. Like they had you could get it like at Toys R Us, like a Cabbage Patch doll, but it was like Bubbles.
Whoa.
What?
Did you know that?
I didn't know any of this. This is wild.
Oh yeah, Bubbles is like Bubbles is like
Bubbles
a real.
Still alive?
No,
I don't know.
No,
Were
right?
there
That's a very long
was there
time.
One Bubbles, or is that just like was it?
Oh right, was there like multiple Bubbles?
I would love it.
There was only one Bubbles.
It's one of those things that like Bubbles keeps dying, and the handlers are on Michael Jackson. Like, we gotta get it. We gotta find another Bubbles. Of course, that's Bubbles. What do you mean, Michael?
What do you mean he's acting different? Oh, Matt, that's
Ooh, that's very sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much information about Bubbles, but this I'm gonna try. I'm sure. But
and I heard that Bubbles played guitar on Beat It.
Oh, he wrote Beat It.
He wrote Beat It.
Yeah.
A lot of Michael Jackson songs are credited to Bubbles.
I want to watch that biopic now.
Yeah.
I gotta find it. He was like,
now with motion capture.
Oh no, I mean I want to watch like the Michael Jackson one, but like that tells the truth.
Oh yeah,
it just shows Bubbles writing all the songs.
There was 10 Bubbles.
But Bubbles is just smoking a cigar. Like, you listen to me. You're gonna sing it. You're gonna sing it good. Michael Jackson just traded his overbearing father for an overbearing the pet monkey that he had.
Yeah. Tell me you wouldn't watch that film.
Oh yeah, so in. So all right, so what else do we want to talk about? The John Cusack death scene. This is a place where they build prisons either really well or really shitty. They have one prison just a cage where your feet could come out. So that was like a Fred Flintstone style prison where they all pushed it over a cliff.
Yeah.
Bad engineering, but yet John Cusack, who is weaponless, they have him like in a 3-part prison.
Yeah.
Which is like, why is he's not that
Also,
dangerous.
Like, who were the guys who killed him? Who were when that scene before, like, who was he going to meet that were then the people that like strung him up? And
this is when I really
confused
was watching it, and I was trying real hard, but I was like, I do not know what has happened.
I don't know.
This is where the film goes off the rails. Like once they build the city, and they're like,
this movie is well off the rails.
But understand what's happening before that.
Ish.
I maintain.
I don't understand all the people and what their relationships are, but I understand like here's a friend and foe. They built the city together, and they're happy. At that point. That's all I need, and I feel good. But then once it gets into this section, I'm like,
I
who is
understand that
this?
Adrian Brody wants to kill that kid.
Yes.
Right,
Like, that's, I know.
And
that
they're brothers. And they're brothers, right?
Yes.
And they're brothers. And
Right, the kid is Adrian Brody's brother.
Right.
Yes?
or cousin or some sort of relation.
I think it's his brother.
I think it's his brother, too, because his dad, I think...
He's being passed over for the... Why?
No, because I think it was... Okay, so the
Bubbles
dad...
died in 2009, just so
Oh,
you know.
okay. R.I.P. Bubbles.
Well, that was...
He was 50 years old. Sorry. That was old Michael Jackson.
What are you talking about?
Oh, wait. So Bubbles did not go to Michael Jackson's memorial service.
What? Snub?
He wasn't invited.
No, he's still alive.
So Michael Jackson died in 2009.
Yes, sorry. I got a little confused.
This is a wild ride.
Yes, he is living in the center of Great Ape Sanctuary in Wauchula, Florida.
That makes me genuinely really happy.
Yeah, he's alive and well.
I don't know why.
Wow. Holy cow.
But
So Adrian Brody's dad was like, I think Adrian Brody might be a fucked up asshole.
I think Adrian Brody might be Adrian Brody.
Yeah, he was like, I think he might. So he was like, so I'm going to make my young, sweet kid with the operatic voice my ruler. And so then he made a treaty with the Parthians.
Right.
Being like, just want to make this treaty so you recognize this kid as my...
Do you want to hear his whole evil
successor.
plan that he lays out in an amazing riff of exposition?
Oh, yeah, great.
All right, here we go.
Always.
Here we go.
If I hadn't purposely let you escape, purposely, do you really think you and Publius would get this far? Who could blame me for pursuing you? I mean, thank you for the perfect excuse to bring my troops here. Mm-hmm. I had already plotted this with Wo's subordinate, Yinpo. Yinpo gave me the customs clearance document and the commander's seal.
Customs clearance document is said very dramatically several times.
And the commander's seal. They talk about these things all the time.
This to me is like the reverse bad like villain plan of James Bond. It's like everything that happened for a reason, and there it was, and it was all me.
But none of it falls into place for you. Like I don't know who any of the people he's talking to talking about are. I'm not tracking commander's seals or tax documents. I'm not. These are not the components
the
of
customs documents.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm watching a movie about enemies becoming best friends and building a city.
Right.
And it is like
not anymore.
It is like Adrian Brody. There is like a parallel just whole movie going on which we're not privy to for the first 56 minutes, and then he comes in fully doing that.
By the way, I would happily watch another movie that is the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead of this movie, wherein we start with Adrian Brody and we arrive at this movie.
Well, let's talk about structure for a second. Is there any problem with starting this movie with Adrian Brody and that kid, and then telling that story? Because that seemingly is the story. That's the whole reason.
I think if this is a Chinese movie, I suspect the story is about the Silk Road and not about like the Roman, hierarchy of Roman.
But it's a weird
royalty.
way. But it's a weird way to start it though, because it's like, all right, well, then to tell this story, we won't tell the whole first part of it until we're in the third act.
So that's
then
why
you
they
get
have
context
to do
for the story.
That's why they have to do weird flashbacks and flash forwards of Adrian Brody.
This movie is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern because it's the inconsequential part of this story.
By the way, don't tell China that. No offense, but like Paul speaks for Paul and Paul alone.
Sorry, Han Brothers. I did not mean to insult the film, which is a great movie.
And I think Alibaba who put money into it.
Yes.
There's
all great.
This movie has more production credits than the population of a small town.
Yeah, it is, and it is clearly, and there was in all the press for it, you get like John Cusack being asked, like, what made you want to do a Mandarin movie? And he's clearly there being like, I'm not.
John Cusack is low key like making crazy fun choices now.
Yes.
Like he's like in that Nicolas Cage territory. Where it was like, whoa, great. And I think
he's full blown Nicolas Cage in this. I think he saw what Nicolas Cage was doing on Con Air and was like, I get what I can do.
This is a story I tell all the time. When we had Danny Trejo on the show here, he said the most dangerous person that he encountered on that Con Air plane was John Cusack. He said, that's the person I'm most afraid of. He says, because when you look in his eyes, he's got something that's crazy in there.
Oh, really?
And you don't trust it. Yeah. That's Danny Trejo going, of that insane cast. Yeah. You got Malkovich, you got Buscemi, you have all these great people that are known for being like these wild cards. John Cusack, the guy who's in a suit and tie for the entire thing, is like, that's the guy. I was like, no, sir. Which I always love. I love that. Like, it's like he's not even doing an insane performance.
No.
I mean,
John Cusack was the first person who made me try vaping.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, I overlapped with him for like 2 days on a film, and I ran into him outside, and he was like, "Have you tried this?" And at that point, I was like, "No," and he was like, "You gotta try it. It's amazing." And like wouldn't give up until I tried his.
Wow. Are you
his
still
vape.
vaping?
No. No, but I so vividly remember he was like, it's great. You can do it on airplanes. And I was like, I don't think you can. And he was like, no, you absolutely can. And I went,
you can do it on airplanes full of prisoners being transported.
But I just remember saying to him, I was like, oh no, I think you can do it on airplanes. I don't think they'll let me do it on airplanes.
When people are watching you scared as you go into the bathroom on a plane, you can, once you're in that bathroom, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
John Cusack does have a terrible death scene in this. His eyes have been plucked out. Yeah. Jackie Chan tries not very hard to free him.
No. It seemed like there were leather straps holding his hands and Jackie
chains.
Chan, but
chains.
Jackie Chan just went for the chains with a knife, and I was like, I don't think that's gonna work.
It's also
there might be another way.
I agree.
think there's like three. Well, there's two that I'm sure of, but three possibly mercy killings in this film. So you've got Falco going over the cliff with Troy.
Yeah.
Then you've got Jackie Chan in this scene shooting John Cusack with an arrow in the face. I'm sorry, everybody. And then there's also a scene early on, at some point, when Jackie Chan and John Cusack are talking. They flash back to Jackie Chan and his sister when he was young, trying to escape from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I think did
he kill her?
Yeah, they seem to
loud.
That's the thing. I think he was saying she was too loud, so they got caught. But all you see is him smothering her.
Yeah,
it
seems like they imply that he smothers his sister.
Wait, this is that scene from MASH? It was a baby.
I thought it was like she wouldn't be quiet, and he was holding her mouth, and then they were like, "Who's that crying baby?" It's her, and then they killed her. But you're right.
But then they would have killed him as well.
And also, the way they choose to tell that story is to show him covering her mouth with his hands,
and then
her like feet kicking.
Yeah, kicking.
So he's the murderer. He's a villain.
And then when he was doing it, he was like, "I'm a nice guy. I'm a good brother."
But again, the whole thing is told in the sort of context of a story of him telling about like we've all got troubles.
We all got things.
Some of us have killed our sisters.
Some of us accidentally.
And by the way, that's a motivation for him to want peace forever because he murdered his sister.
Yeah, it really explains why he started the Silk Road Protection Squad.
I mean,
the SRPS.
Oh my God, this movie.
Yeah, I'm a member of the SRPS. What are you talking about? SRPS here to take care of things.
Oh my gosh. Well, obviously, there's a lot to be said about this movie. We obviously have opinions, but there are people out there with a different opinion. Now it's time for Second Opinions.
The movie was a piece of shit.
This is so good.
This person recommends it. Tell me what is the message? Maybe that art is subjective. I need a second opinion.
That is John LaJoie, who is in the car with me and that ghost monkey, and also who has 5 songs right now in the Lego movie. 5 original songs. Yeah, so...
Lego 2?
Lego 2.
Sweet.
Congrats, John.
John LaJoie, killing it. All right, here is a great review. It's a little bit long, but I think it's worth it. It is titled Hot Mess with a Heart of Gold, 5-star review. I am a professional ancient historian, and I can assure everyone that the accuracy is not part of the equation here.
I just want to interrupt for one quick second. Dan, did you write this?
The plot is often incoherent and one gets the impression that the background research consisted of watching Gladiator a couple of times. The moral is dropped repeatedly like an anvil tied to a quasi-Vitruvian crane into the audience, and the revisionism and Chinese nationalism is pretty thickly spread. But if you take it for what it is, a big hammy movie with its heart firmly located in the right place, then it is incredibly fun. I was not bored. I was touched. I was entertained. Yes, it's wildly inaccurate. No, you can't do that with swords. Parthia was the 1st century BC. It was not ruled by a woman. Carthia has nothing to do with the dynastic struggle between Crassus brothers over the consulship. Wait, what? And Crassus was not in Parthia to sign a peace treaty. Rome did not, as it happens, have a national anthem, but the movie gets points for passable Latin grammar and said anthem. I could go on, but again, that's not the point.
Wow.
The sincere wish is to tell a story about how East and West and places in between can learn to treat each other with respect, and the scenery-chewing campiness is a likability factor that makes the inaccuracy kind of fun. It's a lot better than Disney's Hercules and that awful Eagle movie. I don't know what that is.
What?
Iron Eagle movie? I anticipate
it was Iron Eagle. Jason Gedrick and Louis Gossett Jr.
I anticipate some very interesting conversations with my students about this thing. 5 stars.
I mean,
Are you going to make your students watch it?
If I was in a class...
I didn't write that, but he does speak for me.
If I was in a class and my professor made me watch this movie, I would drop out of college.
You would be like that kid who dropped the book. That would be the equivalent of that.
This is not worth learning. You've misunderstood what learning is, buddy.
I love the fact that he's like, I really enjoyed that review because he's come to it with the right. He clearly knows a lot, and it's taken. But he's
he sees all the faults.
I completely agree with that review.
Well, I love that reveal that is a made up Latin anthem.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
They were like, when they were making it up, they were like, we need it to be at least like 4.5 minutes long.
Just like every song in this movie.
Yeah.
The reviews here are pretty like pedestrian, so they only have 2 that are really good. This one is from Jilly, and it's just titled Dragon Blade, Peace at Last. I call upon all of you to come together from foe to friend, and so whatever way we shall create heaven on earth, as it was in the beginning, now until forever, love will prevail. This is not a movie about war. It is an epic story of the hero's journey. All hail our fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. One word, we are all one love. Loving you forever. Love, Jilly. 5 stars.
Great, thanks, Jilly.
Jilly really got in
there.
there.
Took some time to just like motivate us.
A message of real love.
I also just don't understand. Like, they made a big deal out of this heaven on earth. It didn't seem like heaven on earth.
Good.
It just seemed like a work camp where people got along.
Yeah, it seemed like everyone got on really well, and there was something sort of. And I also do love, like the other review mentioned, like the Chinese nationalism, like those moments where they're just like where they're talking to John Cusack about like, you're Romans, you kill people. We're Chinese, we just save people. I was like, I think war was pretty common throughout the ancient world.
I did a little research too. The Silk Road, they were killing people. The Han Dynasty, which is what this like what Jackie Chan works for, were brutal. Like, and that's no big deal. It's
everyone was. That was the time. Yeah, that's what we was doing. We were cutting off heads.
It's a bizarre thing to be like. And we were the
and we were the agents of peace.
When armies would come, we'd be like, "Hey, want to like get some dinner?"
We were part of the protection squad, guys. We are good guys.
It is a bizarre way to rewrite history. Yeah. In such like, it's just like, but what are we hiding from?
Yeah. To what end?
Yeah. To what end?
I mean,
I'm so happy to have watched this movie because it is. It to me is. It's unlike anything else because very rarely do you see like a $65 million big budget, big action movie that is shoving all these things in there because it is. You have everything that you kind of want.
Cluttered. It's such a. It is so cluttered with extraneous characters and plot lines and nonsense. It's bloated and crazy. Did it do well? I mean, I'm assuming in China it did massively well.
Well, first of all, there's a couple of facts here. The budget, like I said, was $65 million. The opening weekend here in the States in only 14 theaters. Was $30,000. But the domestic, maybe it was $30 million? No. Couldn't have been. All right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. So what it grossed worldwide was $121 million. Yeah. So huge success. Yeah. This movie came in 409th place of all the movies made in 2015. Normally, we've never done any of the movies that are below 200.
Wow. We really
dropped down.
That's got to be domestic box office.
That's
based on domestic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the top movies of 2015 are The Force Awakens, Jurassic World, and Avengers: Age of Ultron. And it was beaten on this show by movies like Furious 7, Jupiter Ascending, and The Boy Next Door. I mean, this.
That's the thing. I would watch this movie over Jupiter Ascending again any day.
Disagree.
Jupiter Ascending, I always applaud for you're doing something. I don't always agree with what they're doing, but I'm like, I'm on
Here's
board.
The thing.
That's how I felt about Aquaman.
We've lost so many hours to both of those movies.
Yeah.
We're just pouring our days away.
We're
on this nonsense.
You chose to do that.
I know. Now we're trapped.
Now you're just locked in.
Now we're trapped. It's awful.
The tagline of this movie, Dragon Blade. Would you like? I'll just read it to you.
Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade. Neither blade nor dragon. Just friends.
Anyone else want to take a shot?
I think I know it vaguely.
Okay. When eagle meets the dragon.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Wait, whoa.
So the dragon is just China and the eagle is the Roman Empire.
So is Jackie Chan supposed to symbolize the dragon blade?
I guess he is the dragon
blade. The blade of China or whatever? Yeah. He's meant to rip.
So
oh, wow, that's interesting.
When John Cusack tries to pick up his sword, he is really trying to pick up
the dragon blade. That is the dragon blade. We figured it out.
Really threw it.
It's interesting because Jackie Chan wants to never use his sword.
Yes.
His preferred weapon is the guard, the arm guard thing that he keeps on his belt.
Shield.
This movie does a lot of sword onto shield work. I feel like they were always you're always seeing people jam. Oh wow, you got shield there.
And good accessorizing. Like that. There's one shot where Jackie Chan resheathes somebody else's sword in the coolest, most aggressive way.
Does Adrian Brody kill himself at the end of the movie?
Yes.
He's dying. But does he stab himself?
Yes.
So even in the final moment of the film, the victory over the true villain, Jackie Chan cannot commit that murder.
By the way,
Adrian Brody has to kill himself in order for Jackie Chan to win.
And why are
That's wild.
Yeah. And why is that fight scene so anticlimactic? It's all right, let's see a fight. And
I actually didn't mind that.
Oh, really?
But I think I was just so happy to be watching. I was aware that I was watching a lot of Adrian Brody in it.
Got it.
And you're doing some cool sword stuff, and you learn stuff. And
he practiced.
I was more into that.
They established, they were here is a man who has been fighting for gotta be 2 hours at this point. Yeah. He is broken. He has been stabbed. He has been shot with arrows, and we are going to put him up against a perfectly healthy AB.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, it's not the best fight because it's mostly just AB kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But not killing him so that he has another chance to get up again.
Yeah.
And then break his arm backwards, which was
I mean,
that I enjoyed.
I
had respect for that.
Yeah.
Totally.
And there was another shot in the movie that I liked where there was, just in terms of I like a good inventive death. And there was one shot where somebody was somehow a gigantic bow and arrow was used to shoot something through somebody's head at very close range. That was cool.
He used a guy's head to pull back the bow and shoot someone in front.
I like when they built the transformer out of their shields. They're we can do this like the rocks. Everything is rocks. They put a little guy in there.
That was my favorite thing.
It was like the
Roman
A-team.
shields are great against arrows, swords, but rocks fuck them up apparently.
They're throw the rocks, throw the rocks.
If only there had been more rocks around, the Roman Empire might not have.
Thank God they built those walls to figure out what rocks are. And then they were then it became a comedy scene pick up this giant ionic column. And they're throwing columns.
Paul, I hate to interrupt. It's a dork column. It's definitely a dork column.
This movie.
How about when they put a rock on the shields and slide it through? Like you could layer in yakety sax to 90% of this movie.
Please do. This is the 7th film with that Jackie Chan has done with the word dragon in the title.
Thank God.
I did notice when I Googled it yesterday, I was like, this is like the 10th Google search result that is being suggested.
Yeah, if you Google Jackie Chan dragon.
It's like...
Dragon Blade, I was shocked when I wrote the note like so late into the movie. Yeah. Wait, is there no dragon?
That's
and
what I
no
wrote
blade?
down. I wrote that down too.
What's crazy, it had not even occurred to me that at no point do we see a dragon or a blade or hear what that is. I was just like,
I kept expecting that to be what
because Dragon Blade would be such a boring title. Like if it was like Regum, like you wouldn't be like, ooh, I want to go see Regum. No, you have to. It has to seem like a fighting movie.
Regum sounds like it's a word backwards. Like red rum.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to be split on this. Dan, do you recommend people seeing this movie?
I do for Adrian Brody's full commitment, for Jackie Chan's fighting, and for John Cusack just being John Cusack in this context. It's so good.
I'm going to just pile on what you're saying here. And I know we've talked about Adrian Brody in a few ways here, but I like the way that he commits. Nicolas Cage, I love Nicolas Cage, but he sometimes can go overboard, and I feel like Adrian Brody's doing the right level of camp. It kind of feels like it's not like pulling you out. You're like, oh, you're gonna see you, but not.
He knows what he's in. And
he's making big choices.
Yeah, absolutely. I would endorse that.
What do you think?
I recommend seeing it.
As a two-time,
as a two-time viewer, as a two-time date night viewer.
Oh God,
I'm gonna say,
I believe in this relationship.
It's built on good stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd watch it again.
You would watch it again?
Give it a few years.
That's what I'm saying. Give me 2 years. I will forget everything that we just talked about. Yeah. I could watch it again and be re-amused by all of it.
I can see that. Yeah.
June is shooting Grace and Frankie right now, and she got home late last night, and when she got home, she walked in right at the part where Jackie Chan breaks Adrian Brody's arm, and she's walking in and she's like, what the fuck are you watching? and then just walked into the next room.
Didn't even wait.
There was a part of me that was a tiny bit relieved that she couldn't be here today, because I was like, I feel like Paul and Jason are going to be mad that they had to watch this movie, but I feel like June would be really mad if
when
we
I
made
saw
her watch this movie.
how subtitled it was, I was like, she is not going to be into this. Because also I was writing notes and then look up, what did I miss? And then I'd have to rewind, and then I'm like, now I'm like wasting time rewinding.
When you're rewinding a movie for this podcast, you're in bad shape. You're like just making the time longer. Oh.
Jason, what do you think?
I did not care for this. I don't disagree, though. It is a lot of fun. There is huge choices being made here. Yes. Adrian Brody is doing next level craziness. Jackie Chan, I always am just delighted by. He is so compelling. Yeah,
it makes me want to watch a better Jackie Chan movie.
It's such a compelling screen presence. It's really great.
Yeah.
The movie is sort of. I would say watch it. Yeah, fast forward.
Yes, if you have a fast forward, because that will knock out a lot of the confusion, and I think you'll be happy.
I think fast forward through some of the kind of chaotic battle scenes.
But
I
watch
think you
all
can,
of the dialogue.
But watch every two-person scene. Watch all of the city being built friendship montages.
And anytime you see Falco.
Yeah, you got to stop for Falco and the little boy.
Yeah.
Falco is Falco, also the name of the artist who sang Rock Me Amadeus. Yeah. Which I can only assume maybe this is that character. I would love it if the closing credits were just that actor singing Rock Me Amadeus.
Rock Me Amadeus. And as he's falling to I'm in the same camp as Jason in the sense that it's so rare that you see a movie that is on this level making these choices. Like you see it a lot more in smaller films, and I love that it's trying to be nationalistic. I love that they clearly got these two actors in, because they have international appeal, so they got them, and it's a real mishmash. It's a stew, and stews may not be the thing that you go out to eat dinner and get, but it's
like
hearty and it's filling, and you know what? And it's going to fill you up and not let you down. So this is the stew of movies.
Put that on the Blu-ray box.
The stew of movies. Dan, you have a brand new show which is hilariously funny on TBS called Miracle Workers.
Yes.
It premiered this week.
Oh, cool.
And you want to tell us about it?
It's a show for TBS with myself and Steve Buscemi and Geraldine Viswanathan and Karen Soni and Lolly Adefope and lots of very, very funny people. Amazing writers. It's written by a guy called Simon Rich.
Who is hilarious, and his books are
He created Man-Seeking Woman.
And
was an SNL, a very prolific SNL writer.
Just one of the most brilliant, funny people that I've worked with. And
but what is it about?
It's a comedy set in heaven. Basically, I play an angel who is working in like the department of answering prayers, which is a really shitty job to have. It turns out in heaven, and then a series of events happen which end with God deciding to end the world and open a restaurant. That's his new thing, as he wants to do. And so we, over the course of the series, have to basically convince him not to through various.
And then season 2 is an episode of Kitchen Nightmares, except that it's God instead of Gordon Ramsay.
It's an anthology, so season 2 we don't. If we're lucky enough to get one, we don't know what it would be yet, which is awesome. But we have a. So basically, TBS have let us make a super long movie with an ending and everything. So
great.
It's really, really cool.
That's every Tuesday night at 10:30, right?
10:30, yeah.
That's great. Erin,
thank you.
What do you got? What do you want to tell people? Because you and I, we did this movie, Summer of '03. That came out on the DVD, which I don't know.
And on demand and on iTunes.
Oh, you can do all those things too. Yeah, you can do all those things. There is a niceness to have like a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing extra on it. That's why
There's no extras?
I don't think so.
I didn't know.
Are there any extras on the VHS?
There is a lot of extras on the. It's one of those double VHSs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But how can people follow you online and stuff like that?
Oh, I'm on Twitter.
Your
my
tweet,
Twitter handle.
Oh no! Wait,
You're terrible at
You
promotion.
had a tweet that made me
really
laugh. So
bad.
you had a tweet of like where you predicted that the singer from Maroon 5 was going to take off his shirt.
Yeah, no, this genuinely happened. Halfway through the halftime show, I turned to my friend and I was like, is he going to like take off a shirt for each new song?
Yeah.
And then he did. And he didn't stop at the tank top.
Thank God.
I didn't do.
Thank God. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to see his shark tattoo.
By the way,
word
those are fake
California.
tattoos. That's all fake tattoos.
It's fake
right?
tattoos, right?
No, it has to
No.
be, right?
We were having a debate.
no, they
they
must be
looked
real.
fake
Really?
to me.
I think
You
they're
wouldn't-
real.
you
If
wouldn't
those are
take-
fake, that's crazy.
I thought they were fake.
If those are
like
fake,
a-
he would be being roasted right now.
Yeah, that's something
Really?
like a
Okay.
teenager.
Is
Does-
he
he
not
has-
being roasted right
He
now?
has the word California written across his belly in like, I don't know, 76 font. It's so big.
Nothing will ever be like, obviously Ben Affleck's tattoo.
Yeah,
Also-
but that was a fake one.
No,
was-
it's
Oh,
real.
was it?
That's real, Paul.
Oh yeah,
no.
yeah. That's I'm pretty sure it's real.
Wow.
And also, if you don't, for the people who
It's
don't
a
know,
phoenix, right?
Ed Sheeran also has crazy tattoos. Ed Sheeran has a lion in the middle of his chest, like a gigantic lion.
But to be
Yeah,
fair,
the stuff you would not expect.
neither Ben Affleck or Ed Sheeran have made me look at them in the middle of the Super Bowl.
No.
I guess you're right. These
have
Adam
made you-
Levine
Well,
tattoos
I can't say
they're
the same.
real.
They're real.
They're
gotta be
real.
Okay, good.
Wow,
You
I
would
thought,
do that.
I thought he
that
was doing
shark-
like
that
a
shark
Cape
is
Fear
crazy.
thing. Like, I'm going to put like funny tattoos. Not that that was a funny scene. in
Wait
Cape
a minute,
Fear.
that's what you think is fun. Do you think Cape Fear is a comedy?
Yeah, I mean, that's how he got into comedy. It was like
My
Cape
other
Fear
favorite-
meets a pair.
Remember,
Memento?
he's laughing in the movie theater. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. It's like What About Bob, but a little scarier.
It's so many of my favorite comedians: Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Juliette Lewis.
When he remember when he gets his finger like caught in her retainer, it's like funny. It's like
so funny.
Jason, what do you want to plug here?
I will plug. I don't know. You can. Oh, The Long Dumb Road is available now, also on Blu-ray and all those things.
Those are great.
And on demand or whatever.
I really enjoyed that film.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And then that's about it.
All right, great. And I will continue to plug Black Monday, which is on Sunday nights at 10 o'clock on Showtime. It's a show that I'm on with Don Cheadle, Regina Hall, and Andrew Rannells. It takes place in 1987 at the stock market crash. And this is the fourth episode this week. And I think you're starting to see a bunch of really fun stuff. If you can catch up on it right now, if you go to Showtime.com and enter in the code Black Monday, you can get free 30 days of Showtime on me.
Oh, wow.
On me. There you go. Black Monday.
Black Monday, all one word?
All one word. And you can get a free subscription there. And I think you'll really dig it. It's fun. And I love doing the show. And I'm so
Great
psyched
show.
to
Crazy funny cast.
Yeah.
Super funny show. Hard jokes.
Yeah, I had a very romantic scene with a man in a Mr. Metz costume, which I feel love that I got to do.
Which you had asked for.
I did. I just to be able to do a dramatic, monologue to a man in a full costume that you cannot read any emotion on their face, was one of my favorite things. The shot is his face is in the front, is in the foreground, and I'm in the background over his shoulder, and you're just watching this monologue with no change of emotion.
That's so funny.
It's a fun show. So Showtime, Black Monday, every Sunday night. All right, that is the end of this conversation, but we want to continue the conversation with you. Make sure you listen to next week's mini episode where you can call in at 619-PAULASK. Leave your comments about Dragon Blade or your comments about life, and I will answer your questions, concerns, life dilemmas. I'm here for you. And a big thank you to Avril Halley for pulling these clips and remembering that Dan and Erin wanted to do this movie. Also, Nate Kiley for doing the research on a movie that was so hard to do research for. Of course, Kelly Alto, Cody, who puts this whole show together as our producer, now as senior producer here at Earwolf, and Devin in the booth. We got a great team. Everybody here at Earwolf supports us, and we love that. So we'll see you next week for our mini episode. People, make sure you follow us on Instagram too, because guess what? We got a brand new artwork up there from our friend Kyle Waldron. He's killing it nonstop. All right, and sign up for our mailing list because we have some announcements about some touring shows that are coming up. We will see you next week. Bye for now.